Well, hello, and welcome again to the 2012fad.com. I will be your host for the evening. My name is Charlie Bluehawk. Last night, we talked about culling our own herds and how our masters have convinced us, or doing a darn good job, that we are really nothing but mindless beasts. If you recall our episode where we chatted about the mongrel mobs in New Zealand and how these low-level intelligence, just really, really basic caveman thugs, are doing their master's bidding by terrifying the people of New Zealand. And these mongrel mob will actually bark like dogs on camera to demonstrate their own personal religious beliefs, which is the most basic Satanism you can imagine. But that's how our masters see us, as mindless beasts, and that's how they want to reduce us to that level. And yet, with the smallest application of controlled violence, the textbook definition of war, we can actually go from mindless beasts into a utopia, because it seems that the absolute presence of unquestionable violence actually civilizes human beings. Astonishing. Personally, I don't want to kill anybody. Not unless they threaten my family, my friends, the village, and then yes, I will shoot, and I will shoot to kill. And frankly, I'll never think about it again. But since I prefer to be a coward instead of a hero, I prefer that we, you and I, just run and hide. And so again, the village. It seems to be our only choice anymore. I cannot think of one major city in this world where we would be able to live and work and have friends and family and lovers and children, where we could live in peace. I can't think of one. The country of Nepal, well, the Dalai Lama is a homosexual pedophile rapist, and the monks that he controls have been ruling Nepal with more than an iron fist for Lord only knows how long. And they were actually actively working with the Nazis before World War II. Their holy books even told them that the Nazis would be coming to visit them and would be their greatest allies. In fact, there were actually, during World War II, there were people from Nepal found wearing Nazi uniforms. It's amazing. So I think Nepal's out of the question. Mexico City in Mexico. Well, it's high enough in the mountains, but it's too close to the USA. I have, however, heard great stories from people living in Mexico City, so it might be something you want to find out for yourselves. Buenos Aires. Well, I was heading for Buenos Aires. How can I say this? There was a phony war with the British over the Falkland Islands, and the British won. Barely. And that's another story we should talk about someday. The British brought in tremendous corruption and evil and hatred into Argentina. And I'm told now by natives, friends of mine, that Buenos Aires is a war zone. So that's out. Now there is the province of Mendoza, which is slightly higher up. Agricultural society, very friendly, very nice, very easygoing. But it's very open, so any kind of storms you might have, superstorms, well, you know, that pesky 5,000-foot tall wave moving at the speed of sound departing the South Pole, that might be kind of a bad idea. Now, next door to Argentina is Chile. Now, Chile pretty much is ideal. Way up in the mountains, they've got the Andes there, so you've got really, really tall mountains. You are very close to the South Pole, but the mountains are high enough. Lots of caves, lots of little villages, so there's an infrastructure of a sort there. The problem is it's on top of a major fault line. And just a few days ago, I guess it's a month ago now, our masters used their HARP weapon to create an earthquake there 365 days exactly after the last earthquake in Chile, as a warning to the Japanese. So Chile, I'm going to look there, but I don't know. Tierra del Fuego, another possibility. So anyway, tonight I thought we might chat about everything we know is a lie. And how a very smart fellow by the name of Richard C. Hoagland, his website is enterprisemission.com. That's Enterprise, our favorite starship, and then mission.com, one word. Now, Mr. Hoagland says that the lie is different at every level, and how we've been lied to so many times, and about so many things, that finding the truth at this point in time, almost impossible. And the lies are so varied and so pointless, at least to me, that the truth is hidden under so many layers of lies, that finding them, even bothering to look for them, at this point in time, why bother? Why waste time on something that we'll never find? It's too late for that. Or maybe that's part of our Master's plan, for us to know the truth is out there, and knowing that we can find it. But why? Why bother now? Why bother when there's so many other more important, more immediate problems that we have to solve for ourselves? This sort of goes along with the belief that many of you think that the USA can be saved. Please, just stop now. Just let it go. Forget about saving the country. It's been gone. It's been gone long before you and I were even born. The USA is nothing but a series of lies layered on top of other lies. Just let it go. Care about yourself, your loved ones, your friends, your family, your pets. Let everything else just go. All these movements you see spontaneously springing up all over the country are planned events. They're being staged for your benefit. They're being staged to make you believe that you have a choice, that you have options. You don't. Stop playing their game by their rules. Just say no. I will not react. I will not give you money that's not yours. I will not give you my home. I will not give you my car. No. And frankly, the only way you can do that is to run and hide. Because they have the rest of the population, 98% of the cattle, actually backing them up. The cattle have been programmed to self-destruct. The cattle have been programmed to turn on anyone who tries to help them. Trust me on this one. Personal experience speaking here. The episode where I was still in New Zealand and I was dragged to a viewing of a movie called Zygoust. And how at the end of the movie at the Southern Cross, a little restaurant bar place where we used to go salsa dancing, I was asked to say a few words. And I began to speak. And the New Zealanders seated in front of the movie screen, all of them, just like out of a zombie movie, all of them turned their heads in exactly the same time, in exactly the same manner, and exactly the same facial expression. About 50, 60 people. And I was used to it, but the fellow who had dragged me there actually, he sort of went pale and gasped. He had never seen the cattle respond before like that. So please, just stop playing their games. Just say no. Because you have to remember, under black magic, under satanic law, everything that our masters do to us, they have to get in writing first. We have to agree in advance. We either have to agree by voting one of their politicians in, passing a law, or under British maritime law, which is what governs our country, silence is acceptance. You didn't say no. They said, okay, you didn't say no, you must agree. So every time you didn't speak out, every time you didn't stand up and say no, because you did nothing, under our laws, that means you agree. Which means that our masters can do anything they want to us. And now the moron masters have broken their own laws. They have broken man's laws, and so by default, in their unbelievable hatred and arrogance, they've broken Satan's laws too. And again, it doesn't matter if you or I believe in God or in Satan. Our masters believe in both. In fact, they're more religious than you or I. They believe that God exists, and they are at war against her. They worship Satan. And whether you believe in Satan or not doesn't matter. Our masters believe it. And so the lies. The lies are at every level. Everything that you and I know is a lie. The United States was never a democracy. After the Civil War, the slaves were never freed. Their ownership was transferred from the plantations to the federal government. And ever since then, every person born in the United States has been the property of the U.S. federal government. And today, every branch of the U.S. government is a privately owned offshore corporation. Now, the easiest way to understand this, if it's in all possible to understand, go to the website of Dun & Bradstreet, the big stock exchange place, and look up the Internal Revenue Service, look up your local sheriff's department, look up your local police department, look up your local courthouse. You will find that they are all privately owned offshore corporations. And who owns the shares in your local courthouse? The judge who sits and rules on your case, the prosecuting attorney who's trying to put you in jail, and your attorney who theoretically is trying to keep you out of jail. Now, they in turn, the judge and the two attorneys, own shares, own stock in the local privately owned offshore prison. The local prison where they're going to send you is actually a privately owned offshore corporation, which means that the judge, the city attorney, your attorney, actually have a vested monetary interest in making certain that you go to prison. Because the moment they put you into their prison, they get money. Beginning to get the general idea? Look up, for example, the city of Washington, D.C., the province, whatever we call it nowadays. It's also a privately owned offshore corporation. In Los Angeles, if you've ever been there, we need more freeways, but we'll never get them. The city and the county and the state of California have sold bonds to raise money to build freeways for decades. Those freeways were never built, but you gave them money, you got bonds in exchange. Where did your money go? Well, you didn't get it back, for one thing. What happens is that money is invested in real estate projects, shopping centers, housing developments, insurance and reinsurance company. So that initial investment that was supposed to go into a freeway went into a real estate investment and generated interest, made money, made lots of money. Are you going to get any of that money? No. Are you ever going to get any of your money back? No. Are you going to share in the money that you gave the government and that they invested for themselves? No. It's a lie. Look up something called CAFR, Cumulative Annual Financial Reports. And then go look at the website of Mr. Walter Burien, B-U-R-I-E-N. Now his website is CAFR, C-A-F-R-1, the number 1.com. And you will discover that the United States today is so rich, so wealthy, so swimming in cash, that if that money, your money, was divided equally amongst all 300 million of us, we'd all get checks of about $100,000 each, and all of the nation's debts would be paid off in a single day. But you lost your home because you lost your job. You're living in your car until the bank that got bailed out by the government seizes it, confiscates it. Do you know in Nevada that if you are late on your payments, the police will actually come to your house, arrest you in front of your children, and take you to debtor's prison? Yeah, look that up in the news. That actually made mainstream news. And yet the bank that loaned you that money to buy your car that you owe money to, all of the bank's bad debts got paid off by us. Do they have to repay the bailout? No, because all that money's already been stolen from you. And the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, it's a privately owned offshore corporation based in Puerto Rico. They steal from the average U.S. citizen about $500 million every hour. And you know where that money goes? They give it to the Federal Reserve Bank, another privately owned offshore corporation. And then that money is shipped off to Europe, and we never see it again. So how does the USA pay its bills? How do the states pay their bills? With excise taxes. An excise tax is the tax they put on your gasoline when you drive on their roads. It's the tax they put on your gasoline to buy gasoline. They tax your cigarettes. They tax your alcohol. And that's how they sort of almost pay for everything. Of course, they're in debt all the time. That's why. And they also have lines of credit. These are things that you would go to jail for, but that the government does every single day. And those unpaid debts will never be paid, of course, because they're not going to spend the money they're hoarding. So they dump it on us again. So the USA is overflowing with wealth, but you'll never see it. So please, forget about saving the country. It was never ours. We belong, you and I, belong to the federal government. You and I, we're slaves. You and I are property. And thanks to Theodore Roosevelt about 100 years ago, you and I and our children, our bodies, our work is pledged as the equity, the security for the debts of the United States to foreign investors. Our bodies are the equity. Our signatures are worth more on the stock market than your home and your car combined. You are bought and sold as a stock as part of a hedge fund. A hedge fund is a collection of signatures, your signatures, and those are bought and sold and traded every single day. You really are just cattle. And do you think for an instant that the farmer raising the cattle gives a darn what the cattle think? You are livestock. You are not people. Our masters are a completely different form of life than you and I. They have blood that is based on copper. And copper-based blood is blue. The people. The chosen people. You and I, our blood is based on iron. And that makes us not human. Not people. We're cattle. I'm sorry, none of this is hard. None of this is difficult. You just have to use the rule that I finally remembered, the one that freed me from another vicious, evil, selfish, cruel American woman. That's an oxymoron. A woman who once told me that the reason she was studying to be a psychologist, is because she wanted to learn how to hurt people more effectively. And she wasn't kidding. So I came up with this phrase, which I'd sort of made up on the spot, and I said it to her, and she ran away, and I never saw her again. She was out of my life forever, and I was really wondering how I was going to get free of her. I just said these very simple words. I said, I listen to what you say, then I watch what you do. That's all you got to do. Repeat that very simple phrase to yourself every single day, and then practice it daily. And when in doubt, say those very words in exactly that way to someone you are doing business with. 98 times out of 100, they will run away. It's really something to watch. And then start planning for yourself. You are your own best defense. And if you can figure out a way to market the village as a for-profit, sustainable, above organic farm, I will send you a business plan. Sell it, get us money, and together we can make a difference for each other. If you want to make a difference, start with yourself. For all of us here at the 2012fad.com, this is Charlie Bluehawk, wishing you a really good day, and please just keep at least one good thought. The 2012 Fad is brought to you by Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead, a series of 5 erotica horror novels about a fallen angel fighting his way back to regain his own soul, and how the CIA war against the human race, their black magic, captures and traps him in the body of a mind-controlled slave designed to hunt down and to kill their god, their Satan.